You find an old photo. Nothing is actually wrong in it. You're just standing there, doing absolutely nothing embarrassing. But before your eyes even fully process the image, your body recoils, your shoulders rise. You let out a quiet, involuntary, ugh. We all know that split-second feeling. We usually treat that flinch as proof of a problem. We assume it means the past version of us was broken or misguided, and the current version standing here today is finally fixed. But pay attention to the timeline of that reaction. The physical wince hits you before the conscious memory even arrives. Your nervous system is firing an alarm while your conscious brain is still catching up. The cringe is not a careful, conscious judgment of your old taste. It is an automatic reflex. Your nervous system is triggering a sequence of biological and psychological machinery, and freezing that exact split second reveals exactly how it works. The first reason that old photo feels wrong has nothing to deal with personal growth. It is about the wiring behind your eyes and the physiological difference between cameras and mirrors. You spend thousands of hours over your lifetime looking at yourself in the mirror. Because of the mirror exposure effect, familiarity feels safe and correct. It learns to prefer that specific, horizontally reversed image as your true self. A camera does not flip you. It shows the true, non-reversed image, the one everyone else sees. On top of that, a camera freezes you. In real life, tiny shifts in motion naturally flatter the face. A photograph kills that liveliness. It grabs a single, static millisecond, a half blink, a crooked mouth, awkward micro-details natural movement usually hides. So before any psychological judgment happens, your visual cortex looks at the frozen, unflipped geometry of the face and inherently flags it as incorrect. The image starts at an immediate biological disadvantage. Once that visual mismatch registers, your ego takes over. Your brain is deeply invested in protecting the present version of you. To do that, it runs a process called temporal self-appraisal. It quietly takes earlier versions of you and pushes them further back in time, shining a harsher light on them so the present you looks superior by comparison. The brain actively pushes that earlier version away, creating an artificial gap. This mechanism targets your most earnest moments. Sincerity leaves you the most vulnerable to this process. To protect you, the brain distances itself from that vulnerability. It reclassifies that person. They are no longer you. They are a rough draft. The physical space between that draft and your current self is exactly where the cringe lives. The wider the psychological gap your brain tries to claim, the louder your body flinches. With the physical mismatch and the psychological gap established, the actual hot, uncomfortable emotion of the cringe finally arrives. Deep inside your brain is the anterior insula. It is the circuitry responsible for processing the sharp feeling of embarrassment. This region lights up when you do something embarrassing in public, but it also lights up when you watch someone else mess up. The same biological circuitry fires whether you are the one tripping on the sidewalk or watching a stranger fall. Because your brain has successfully pushed your past self so far away, you aren't experiencing self-hatred. You are experiencing secondhand embarrassment. The flinch is an automatic act of empathy directed at a total stranger who happens to share your name. If cringe requires psychological distance, and distance requires change, then the flinch is absolute proof of growth. You cannot recoil at an old photo unless you have moved past the person in it. Yet, looking at that image, the person still feels distinctly alien. They seem perfectly confident, completely unaware of how misguided their choices were. Psychologists call this blind spot the end of history illusion. In a study of 19,000 people, ranging from 18 to 68, researchers found a massive contradiction. Everyone freely admitted their tastes and values had transformed over the previous decade, but going forward, they confidently believed they were done changing. This chart shows exactly how human beings perceive their own evolution. We recognize a steep curve of past growth that abruptly flatlines the moment it hits the present day. The past self in the photo feels like a stranger because they were confidently operating under this exact illusion. They mistakenly believed they were the finished product, with no idea they were about to become you. The catch is that you are running that exact same illusion right now. Your current style, your current opinions, you feel completely settled, which means there is a photo being taken of you this week that a future version of you will inevitably find and recoil at. This guaranteed cycle takes all pressure off the present moment. You will never get it permanently right, because there is no permanent version of you to get right. You are just the current iteration, doing your best, about to be outgrown by the next one. So the next time you find an old photo and your shoulders involuntarily rise, let it happen. Sit with it. That physical reaction is not a failure. It is the receipt of your own movement. The goal is not to stay perfectly still and become uncringeable. The goal is to keep evolving enough that you continually earn the flinch.